Welcome. In this video, you'll learn how to generate and maintain permissions for forms, services, and reports. This session is a deep dive into developing secure settings in AX 2012. If you are not familiar with role-based security in AX, I encourage you to refer to the links at the end of this presentation. By the end of this video, you'll be able to exercise auto-inference feature for table permissions while developing secure settings in AX 2012. Also, you'll be able to manually generate permissions for tables, and finally, be able to override table field permissions in a role. For this demo, we'll use our fleet management demo application. Before I show you how to design the forms and apply table permissions, let me show you how it looks like. The form we want is FM Customer Lab. It allows you to create and edit customer information from customer table. This particular form is accessible from menu item FM Customer Lab, and that menu item is wired to menu Fleet Management Common Customer Lab. I've also created a privilege and a role for that particular menu item, FM Customer Lab Manage, and the role FM Customer Lab Manager. Let's go to our rich client. I've created a user called MBS User2 and assigned FM Customer Lab Manager role to the user. You'll notice that only menu item I have access to is Common Customer Lab. And if I launch it, it launches the details form, which allows me to create, edit, or delete customer information. Let's go back to our AOT tool. Go to Forms and Customer Lab. In a typical scenario, what you would do is you start with a form and add design elements to the form like controls, grid, buttons, etc. And then create a new data source and bind data source to your controls. Since I already have a data source on this particular form, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and remove data source from this form and save it. So at this point, you have a form with controls and design elements, but no data source. So what I wanted to show you was, as soon as we add new data source, in our case FM Customer, and table is FM Customer Table, and save this, you'll notice that the permission tree has all the permissions it required automatically filled up. For example, read permission on FM Customer Table and delete permission on FM Customer Table. Dynamics AX automatically determined what was needed for this particular form and added those permissions to the form. Let's save this. Before I compile, one thing I do have to do is, since I removed the data source, all my controls lost the data binding. So I need to add that back. Let's go to data source, FM Customer, save this, and I have it again. One thing I'll do differently this time is, instead of giving full permissions on this table, I will only provide up to update access and save this. Let's compile it. Let's log back as MBS User2. Let's launch Customer Lab form. One thing you notice immediately is the delete icon is grayed out, since this particular user does not have delete permission on this table anymore. That's how you use permissions to control access to tables. Let me show you another example where you can override permissions at privilege or role level. Let's close this, go back to AOT tool. Let's look at our privilege FM Customer Lab Manage. What I'm going to do is, in the permissions tree, I'll add a new table, which is our FM Customer Table. Provide this delete access and save it. Let's do a quick security check. Let's go to our role, security tools, view related security objects. I'll be looking at effective access. And one thing you'll notice immediately is as soon as I added that particular table in the privilege, it now has full control again. Let's close this. One thing we're going to do is in FM customer table in the permissions tab, we're going to create a new field, which is the driver license field, and add effective access as no access. Let's save it. Let's go back to our role again. Right click on it, add-ins, view related security roles, and effective access. The second row now shows that FM Customer Lab Manager role no longer has access to driver license field. Let's launch our rich client again using MBS User 2. Go to our Customer Lab form. The driver license field no longer shows up because we overrode the full control permission with no access in the privilege. One thing you'll notice is that delete is back on. The reason this is back on was in the privilege we provided full control on this table again. So that's how you override permissions at privilege level. You can do the same thing at role level as well. The example I've been showing you only related to the forms. Similar principle apply for SSRS reports as well as services. Hope this was useful. Thank you for watching.